What's up, Bulls Nation? You found yourselves locked on Bulls. I'm Matt. That's Big Dave. Up ahead on today's program, the Bulls preparing for the final stretch of the regular season, currently tied for first atop the East with Miami at 38 and 21, 23 games remaining. Today, we're going to talk about whether or not these projections have changed and should change for where the Bulls are at the All-Star break compared to when we were first getting ready for this season to start, and a closer look at what the Bulls have facing them over this final 23, as well as some of these other top teams in the East. That's all next on a fresh Locked On Bulls. Let's go.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here are your hosts, Matt Peck and Big Dave Watson.
What's up and welcome in to Locked On Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Matt Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. You can follow my co-host, Big Dave Watson. There he is at BAWL, BAWL Sports. Check the hoodie, folks. I think mine arrives on Wednesday, Dave. If it doesn't arrive on Wednesday, I'm filing a complaint and I'm filing it with you.
And you should. And I'll tell you it'll arrive on Thursday.
And hit us up on that text voicemail line 331-979-1369. Big Dave, all right. Yeah. Bulls back in action. We got to wait a couple more days. Back in action Thursday against the Hawks. According to Takeathon.com, the Bulls have the second most difficult strength of schedule remaining across all 30 NBA teams for this final stretch between now and the regular season concluding in early April. The Bulls right now 38 and 21, tied with Miami atop the East at the All-Star break. I've seen a lot of talk from Bulls fans over the last week or so as we've hit this All-Star break saying, you know, should our projections and expectations change where we are now? Have they changed compared to what they were when they began the season? And a lot of that depends on what your projections and expectations were for this team when the season began. So let's start there.
Sure.
What is that gap for you? If assuming there is a gap, what were your expectations in October and what are they now?
Well, first of all, let me say something real quickly because I forgot to say this last show. It's a correction I have to make. Well, on the last show when we were talking about Tristan Thompson, I kept saying Antonio Davis and Derrick Rose when actually I meant Kurt Thomas and Derrick Rose. I kept saying Antonio Davis and putting him in there, and that was incorrect.
I probably heard you say that and assumed that you were talking about Kurt Thomas.
Yeah, like most people did. But my man Solid Snake on YouTube called it, "What are you doing, Dave? That's not true." And I'm like, all right, man, I'll send the correction in. Here it is, my man. So there it is. I'm sending you my correction. Appreciate you, honestly, for pointing that out to me. My expectations, Matt, slight change. And well, I shouldn't say slight. It's more than slight, but I say slight about as far as the playoffs, but regular season, they've definitely changed. I had the Bulls finishing sixth in the East. That obviously has changed. that is a big change right there. And I'm very joyful and joyous to say that has changed. And the Bulls are, I think, going to be a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, which is a big deal because the East is really excellent this year. This isn't like the Atlanta Hawks or the Indiana Pacers, during those runs of LeBron or stuff like that, where they were, just had a good season or two and shocked everybody, and then they went back down to earth, and you knew how far they were kind of going to go. This Bulls team, no, man, this feels more for real and concrete, and I like that about it. And they're doing it against, like I said, better competition in the Eastern Conference because the East is better than the West this year, which is wild to say, but it's true. Shout out John Sabine. So, but Matt, as far as playoffs and where they go, I was ready to come in here and say, you know what, Eastern Conference Finals. That's where they're going. That's where they ended up. And then you told me that Dragic went to the Nets, and I said, oh, crap. Like, that's gonna sting. That's a sting right there, man, because now the Nets are just deeper and a much, much deeper basketball team. But I will say my faith that the Bulls can make an Eastern Conference Finals has definitely grown.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely more so, because at first I just thought that they're for sure second round exit. 99% chance they're going out in the second round, 1% chance they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Those percentages have changed. I'll definitely say that. I still think they're a second round exit, but I shouldn't say I'm not as willing to put money on it. You know what I'm saying? As I was before.
Says the man who doesn't put money on anything.
Yeah, correct. Even though, I did win one of my bets. Hey, pew, pew, pew. Yeah, well, one of them. But I am more willing to I was way more willing to put money on it previously than I am right now. This team is good. This team is deep. And they have the death by 1,000 cuts defense that I really, truly like. And then the addition of Tristan Thompson, which is basically they answered everything I needed them to get to say, let's make a legitimate run at something. So I have to give them that faith because they've given it to me. So I have to give them that faith that they can make a Eastern Conference Finals. So yeah, I still think it's a hard second round exit, but I'm not going to bet against them making the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it is similar in that I had them probably finishing 6th before the season started. And thinking that if they managed to finish 6th and avoid the play-in with all of the talent that was in the Eastern Conference, that you could consider that a solid step forward for a team that had a lot of rebuilding to do in this span of 2 years since AK and Eversley took over. And with that 6th seed, I was also thinking, the Bulls might be a team that gets back to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years and is a first-round exit team. And while that might be disappointing, I certainly wouldn't see it as a failure. Just given the fact that if they did finish 6th, they're ending up facing one of those, juggernaut East teams, either Milwaukee or Brooklyn or Philly or, whoever that, or Miami, whoever that might be. And now things have changed in that I expect the Bulls to seriously contend to finish at least top 4 and have home court in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you think, okay, now the expectation has shifted from first round exit to at least second round, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe, like you said, a second round exit, not quite good and deep enough to get to the conference finals for the first time in over a decade. But now the funky thing is this.
Mm-hmm.
We are a month and a half or so removed from figuring out how this Eastern Conference standings breaks down when all teams have played 82 games.
Okay.
I have no idea. Neither do you, neither does anybody, what these standings are going to look like a month and a half from now. So not a damn clue. The Bulls are tied for first right now. They're 4.5 games clear of the 6th seed. Brooklyn is in 8th. Like, Toronto's in 7th. They could jump some spots. Milwaukee's in 5th. They could leapfrog everybody and finish at the top. True. And then it's all about matchup in that first round. And then you start thinking about, all right, well, which team don't you want to see in the first round? What would be a bad first round matchup? Having home court and having to play Brooklyn in the first round, certainly a bad matchup, especially if that means Kyrie gets to play one more game potentially in that series. Yeah. But there isn't a good matchup. Like that, like you were saying, that's how good the East is right now. So that is what makes it tricky, in my opinion, to say, all right, what are the Bulls' fair expectations now when you're talking about playoff series and playoff wins? This could still be a one-and-done playoff team.
Yeah, absolutely true. It could be. I don't expect it to be at all. I'm willing to put money on that. They're going to the second round for sure. But I hear you because the East is so deep. But that's why I think it's important, Matt, that they finish with one of those, top 3 seeds. Not to say that the Raptors are easy out, because they are not. They are going to be a tough out for anybody who's going against them for sure. It's just that I think the Bulls can do it within a 7-game series against them. But you're right, Matt. Like, there's no easy team here. If the Raptors are the team that you're like the easiest team, then there are no easy teams. Like, it's really that simple. Because of course they're the team, Van Fleet's your only all-star, you know what I mean? People didn't expect them to even be where they are right now, but you still got to factor in the Atlanta Hawks. You still got to factor in, of course, like you said, the Nets, who I don't think are going to stay there. I think the Sixers, not Sixers, I think the Celtics are going to drop, and the Nets are going to move up. I really do. I think that's what's going to happen here. But even then, the Celtics aren't an easy out either.
And
you know what I mean?
Up until a recent loss, they went on a tear where they were playing amazing ball.
Yes, and just not losing to anyone. So your only easy teams are the teams that aren't in it. You know what I mean? Like your Knicks, your Pacers, your Wizards. Like those are only teams that are easy right now. Everybody from that 10 on up is a team that can go to the second round. And that's awesome. Honestly, that's really, really awesome. But I think the Bulls are better than definitely the Hornets. I think they're better than the Hawks. I think they could beat the Sixers, and I think they could beat the Raptors. None of them are easy at all, but I think they could get those wins. And that's why I kind of want them to get one of those top 3 seeds for sure.
We'll continue this conversation in just a minute, but first, today's episode brought to you by BetOnline.net. Football might be over this season, sad face, but basketball is in full swing for both pro and college hoops. Happy face! From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fire coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores and news this season, and it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds. Baseball, if they figure their stuff out and get their season going sometime soon. All information that you need at BetOnline. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Talking about those teams kind of like in the play-in mix, like Atlanta and Charlotte, Dave, I'm with you in that either of those teams could be a scary team to pop up and be your first-round draw, but I think you also have to admit that you would much rather face either of those teams than a Boston or a Brooklyn or even a Toronto. Maybe best-case scenario is that 2 of the 3 of Boston, Toronto, Brooklyn somehow still end up in the play-in, and one knocks one other out. And but at the same time, Bulls fans are looking at this team saying, hey, 38-21, top of the East, tied for a share of the lead at the All-Star break. But we also talked about this a couple weeks ago, Dave, after one of their losses. They are whatever it is, like 1-11 against the teams in the East and West with the top 7 or 8 records in the NBA.
Yeah.
There is certain element of like, I want the Bulls to win at least a playoff series, but I want them to do so against a quality opponent to show people that the Bulls are for real. Yeah. You know, if the Bulls get lucky and get a draw of Atlanta or Charlotte in the first round, people aren't going to respect them as much as if they draw a tough first round matchup and somehow find a way to win that series.
Yeah, and I think you just hit down the head with your previous statement. If they had beaten one of these teams, maybe that would have changed, the outlook of certain things. But it's not that they haven't beaten them; it's that they got their ass whipped in front of everybody, like in front of the whole school. Everybody at the school watched you take that whipping twice, 2, 3 times. You know what I'm saying? They saw you get beat up pretty bad, and that's what people have to kind of look at there. Even Miami. And when we had Kendall Gill on Ball on Bulls, you also go listen. When we had him on, he was saying he doesn't have fear of these teams because the Bulls haven't played them healthy. And I was thinking, well, those teams weren't really healthy either, when they played them, especially Miami. Miami definitely wasn't healthy. And some dude I couldn't even point out in a lineup just went in on the Bulls. I don't even remember his name, dog. He went in. He had like 20 on the Bulls. Like he just couldn't stop missing 3-point shots. And I mean, they have those kind of guys, what I'm saying, on their roster. You don't know who they are, and they were just whooping the Bulls. Don't get me started about Dwayne Dedman whooping on Vooch. Don't even get me into that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to go there. So that was one thing about. And then when they lost to the Bucks weren't fully healthy either when they lost to him. And he's right though. The Bulls have not shown the league their full strength. We haven't seen them at all from game 1. You have not seen the Bulls at full strength at all.
Because even in the first 5 games when P-Dub was playing, you know who wasn't here? Kobe,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you've never seen them at full strength, like at all. Not once, not one time. and they've looked amazing. And look at them just putting pieces together with the glue, and the grease, and they're still tied up here for first place. So I understand that point for sure. So that's going to make it interesting going to the playoffs, and maybe that can change a lot of minds when people actually see the Bulls playing at full strength like that. Change minds like myself as well.
I want to do a quick little exercise with you, buddy. So I have the Bulls' final 23 games laid out in front of me here, and I am going to list opponent and homer away, and I just want you to tell me if that is a win or a loss for the Bulls, and we're going to map out what their potential finishing schedule and record could be, okay?
Ooh, I hate this. I hate it, but I love it. Let's do it.
All right. Coming out of the break, home against Atlanta.
Win.
Home against John the Grizz.
Loss.
At Miami.
L.
At Atlanta.
W. Win.
Home against the Bucks.
Win. Because we got to.
March 4th.
Because we got to, yeah.
At Philly.
Win. I don't fear Philly as much as I did anymore. I don't have that fear for Philly as much anymore. I really don't.
All right.
I really don't.
At Detroit.
Win.
Home against the Cavs.
Win. They could beat the Cavs.
At Sacramento.
Win. Yeah.
At Utah.
Win. I'm not scared of Utah.
At Phoenix.
That changes because Chris Paul is out 6 to 8 weeks. And
this is March 18th.
Yeah,
so
he'll still be out. Yeah, he'll still be out. And that's a Cameron Payne game. Will we see the Cameron Payne's revenge game like that? But I'll give Phoenix that respect. I'll say loss. I'll give them that respect.
Home against the Raptors.
That's March 18th. People will be back around that time. I'll say win. Win.
Okay. After that, second night of a back-to-back at Milwaukee.
Loss.
At New Orleans.
Win. Oh, God, yes.
At Cleveland.
Loss.
At New York.
Win. DeMar is that going to show out at the Garden.
Second night of a back-to-back at Washington.
Yeah, win. Gafford drops 45.
Home against the Clippers.
Oh, I'm going to say loss. I like the Clippers team. I like how they play. I'll say loss.
All right. Last final stretch, last 5 games home against Miami.
Win. We win at 1 against Miami, damn it.
Home against the Bucks.
Loss.
Second night of a back-to-back at Boston.
Oh. Yeah. L. Loss. Damn it.
Home against Charlotte.
Win.
And to finish the season at Minnesota.
Win.
Okay. So.
I feel dirty.
You ready for this?
No.
I think we may have switched out some W's for L's, but I just did this process myself right before we hopped on.
Okay.
I had the Bulls going 15-8 over their final 23. Okay. You have them going 15-8 over their final 23. It's like we have one brain, people.
Oh, my God. How much more proof do you need that Matt and I operate on one wavelength? Oh, my God. Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. So I think, honestly, I was being a bit optimistic when there were...
And I think I wasn't.
When there were certain matchups I was looking at.
Yeah. Because
I gave them wins against teams that they have not shown us they can win against yet this season. In that exercise. So if say they go 15-8 through this final 23, I don't know about you, I would consider that a massive achievement. Colossal. Because that means add that up with their 38-21 record at the break. That means the Bulls go 53-29. Who had that?
Yeah, not me.
And
not me.
maybe 53-29 ain't good enough for the number 1 seed in the East, or maybe even number 2, depending on how some of these other teams finish out, knowing that a lot of these teams the Bulls will be battling with for seeding in the East have easier strength of schedules. But man, I mean, I don't think anybody could turn their nose up at the Bulls finishing 15-8 for a final record of 53-29.
Yeah, you turn your nose up, I'm going to smack it back down. Like, seriously, that's crazy, dog. Nobody had this. Like, this is why I keep saying enjoy the season, enjoy what you're seeing, because we get to make these projections and they're not insane. You know what I'm saying? To think that the Bulls can go 15-8 with this last 23. Like Matt said, we might have some games that we differ on, but the outcome, that's pretty damn the same, man. But it's fun. Like, it's a happy time to be a Bulls fan, man. This is really cool. Wow. We got 15-8. That's insane. That's insane, man. Damn, dog.
I mean, I don't want to put a damper on the mood here. But I also could it is totally within the realm of possibility for me to see this team go 8-15 over the final 23.
I'll tell you why it's not for me. Because I haven't seen it. If I'm going to give the Bulls, if we're going to say, I don't think the Bulls could beat this team because I haven't seen them beat this team, I can't say that they'll finish with a losing record because I haven't seen them finish with a losing record. I have to give them that same kind of doubt, you know what I'm saying, on both sides. I have to, kind of keep it fair that way.
Yeah, that's fair. There is also that other element of right around when we get through the midway part of March, who's coming back?
Oh, who's coming with me?
Who's coming with me, man?
With me, man. Jan.
Thank you, Jan. I saw this in Casey's latest for NBC Sports Chicago that Caruso could start dribbling and shooting again soon. He is right now due for potentially a return mid-March. P-Dub, same mid-March. Lonzo, same mid-March. So we don't really know right now what order those guys will be coming back. And, knock on wood, assuming that they all will be coming back. But then you're talking about having a full firepower team to help you try to continue stacking wins through this brutal final stretch of the season.
Yeah, man. And that's the fun part and the tough part at the same time. The fun part is knowing that they're going to be getting these guys back, but the tough part is the second hardest schedule in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So we're getting them back at the right time. I'm just going to continue to keep putting my trust in Arturis and Mark, and we're going to keep it moving, man. And let's prove some people like me more wrong. Like, for real. Like, for real.
All right. I do want to look a little bit closer at some of these potential matchups the Bulls might be facing. Before we do that, Big Dave, tell the people about the Built Bars.
Oh, your All-Star weekend's over, but your stomach said it ain't, because your stomach's still hungry and you still want to put something good in it, but you want to put something in it that's good for you. Guess what I got? I got you some Built Bars. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein, and they are all covered in 100% real chocolate. Mint brownie, coconut almond, white chocolate cookies and cream. Listen, they got everything you want. And also, they got flavors of the month. Matt Peck, could you let them know what it is, please?
Mint marshmallow.
Yeah, I saw somebody on YouTube say, I know you didn't say mint marshmallow. Yes, he did. He said mint marshmallow. So go ahead. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get yourself 15% off your order. That is LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Built Bar. Get you one when the season starts.
All right. So I know we're sitting here talking about, man, it is impossible to predict how the East standings are going to shake down and what these first round matchups are going to be.
Yeah.
But just to have some fun and for the sake of conversation, let's talk. Is there a team that significantly above the rest of the very competitive field for you, Dave, is the one team that you say, I do not want to see them in round one, if you're talking about Chicago's first round matchup?
Oh, I mean, the easy answer is the Nets. You definitely don't want to see them at all. Not one bit, not one drop.
Why is that?
Nets.
Why is that?
Because I think Kevin Durant is a pretty solid basketball player, and
that boy is good.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, the addition of Dragic really makes that team extra deep. And they put a lot of shooters out there now, with your Patty Mills and Joe Harris, he'll be back soon. And also your interior now, you got LaMarcus Aldridge, who's having a really great season. Blake Griffin, who knows his role now, is just the enforcer dude who takes charges. Nobody takes more charges in the NBA than Blake Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you got Kyrie Irving in there. You're going to throw Dragic in there as well. I like the makeup of the team. I really do. They have some depth to them now. And you're throwing in arguably the greatest player in the game today in Kevin Durant, who you just cannot do anything with. That's not the way you want to start your first round matchup, in my opinion. So I think you would want to avoid them, in my opinion. If I could just get away from the Nets and just get me anybody else, I'll be happy. But yeah, I don't want to play the Nets at all in the first round.
That's interesting. I'm honestly, and again, we have to wait and see what this team looks like with Ben Simmons on it, and what
That's
Ben
the one
Simmons.
I was like, I'm forgetting a guard. I'm
forgetting
someone.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons too. Oh my god.
Wild card. What does this team look like with Ben Simmons on it?
Yeah.
And is Ben Simmons, a close to all the way there Ben Simmons mentally and with his, abilities on the basketball court?
Good question.
Kevin Durant, what does he look like when he comes back from this injury? Like, there's tons of questions with that Brooklyn team.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the Bulls go 2-1 against Brooklyn this season, and there were absences, as I recall. But Brooklyn does not scare me as much as Philly. Again, what the hell do they look like with James Harden? Does not scare me as much as Milwaukee. That team, they added a nice piece in Ibaka. We'll see if they get some of their pieces back and healthy. And I hate to say it, but Miami, man.
I hear you. I hear all those teams you're saying, Matt, but the reason I didn't go with them is because of where I have the Bulls finishing. And I don't think those teams will be anywhere near the Bulls in that first round. If we're playing those teams in the first round, something went really, really wrong. For the Chicago Bulls. Seriously.
A first round matchup against Miami looks fairly unlikely right now, given the fact that they are tied for first.
Exactly.
But a lot can happen in these last 23 games.
You're right, though. You're right, because the East is so jumbled and so bunched that, a 3-game losing streak could easily mean you're a 7th seed in the East. Like, no, that's a very good point. I just don't see those teams doing. I don't feel a Milwaukee or a Philly, finishing around there. The Celtics, yeah, I can see that. You know what I'm saying? The Nets, because the East is still good, like they might not let you back up in it.
Right. They've got ground to make up. They're 31-28 right now.
Yeah, man. That's so crazy. They lost 11 straight, and there's still 3 games over 500. Just to show you how good this team is. You know what I'm saying? 11 straight losses, and they're still over 500, though. That's crazy. So, yeah, that's an issue. But, yeah, I just don't expect those teams to be our opponent in the first round because of where I think the Bulls are going to be finishing, man. I don't see any fall off for this Bulls team as far as the effort. I've only seen one game where I've questioned their effort. Only one. And after that, I've never questioned it again. So I don't think they're going to go on a streak where they just play effortless basketball and just don't know how to play anymore. So Billy Donovan's too good of a coach to let those things happen. So, yeah, that's the only reason I didn't think of those teams.
So, here it is for me. 3 teams that the Bulls are, I guess, more likely, the odds are greater that they could see one of these 3 teams in the first round, all of whom I don't love the idea of playing in the first round. Cleveland, Boston, Toronto. All 3 of those, and honestly, especially for me, Cleveland. Cleveland is a scary first round matchup, man.
It's true.
I mean, you got Mobley and Allen, all of that size. You got Darius Garland playing lights out. They add Karis LeVert. Like, that Cleveland team is a scary potential first round matchup.
Yeah, they definitely have trap written all over them. Going in and underestimating them is something you definitely do not want to do. This team is for real. They've shown it all season. They even showed it in the All-Star game. Watching Garland kind of go back and forth with Steph shooting those threes was amazing to watch. Watching Jared Allen catch those alley-oops, like they're a really good basketball team, man. I just think the Bulls can beat them. And I'm gonna err on the side of youth as far as Cleveland, because I just think they're too young. I think they need some experience, and I'm not saying that to say that that means they can't win. Of course, it could play to their advantage, and it could pull out a victory for them because they're young, because they don't know any better. They're just playing. You know what I mean? That could definitely play to their advantage. But the Bulls just feel a little different to me this year as far as their mission and where their focus is as far as going in. Like, you hear Zach LaVine being more boisterous now, talking about, dude, we're the best team in the East when healthy. Like, we're the ones. We're the best duo in the game with me and DeMar when healthy. You hear these guys saying these things and then going out there and backing it up, and then going out there and proving it, and then going out there and showing it to you. The Bulls, Matt, we talked about it a lot. Everybody on here pretty much has a chip on their shoulder. And when they come in with those chips on their shoulders, first round exit is not in their vocabulary. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not in their vocabulary. So I think that's going to play their advantage if they have to go against Cleveland, who still, has Lauri Markkanen, who I don't believe in. I think, dude, he might be traded. Like, look how good Cleveland is, even without him in their starting. He's their starting three, and they haven't missed a beat. Like, they're still going on and playing very well. They might trade him and get themselves, some more draft picks or pieces back, man. Like, honestly.
Man, that's wild. I can't believe they figured out how to make Lowry at the 3 work. The Bulls did not, but, I guess it's about the other pieces.
Correct. The other pieces, and we needed Lowry to actually be a 1 or 2 option. You know what I'm saying? They don't need him to be a 1 or 2 option.
He is not.
He is not. No.
Okay, these two teams, last question for you. Charlotte and Atlanta, currently 9th and 10th. I don't know about you. I don't fear either of those first round matchups if one of those two teams were to sneak in and finish 7th or 8th coming out of the play-in. Do you see one of those teams with a greater chance of doing so? Atlanta 28 and 30, Charlotte 29 and 31. This has been obviously a disappointment of a season for Atlanta after surprising a lot of people getting as far as the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I thought that was at them grossly overachieving. This maybe is them underachieving. Which of those two teams, Charlotte or Atlanta, do you see as a more viable threat to come out of the play-in?
Oh, man, Atlanta. Trae Young is amazing. He shows it to you year after year. And they're still a deep basketball team. They're just injured. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot of injuries they're dealing with. But if these guys get healthy, this is a really deep, long, athletic basketball team that can pretty much do a lot. They're one of their only Achilles heels is at, the point guard position, backup wise. They don't have that backup for Trae Young, to run it out there. Before, it was Matt's favorite player, Chris Dunn. But they don't have that.
Atlanta also used to have a guy named Dennis Schrader. Speaking of backup point guards,
they might be able to use them. But yeah, like, Atlanta has more chance for me than the Hornets. How I talked about youth with Cleveland applies to the Hornets also. They just feel like they got some really awesome pieces in LaMelo Ball and Bridges, who Bridges was my Darius Garland, saying, like, for you when he came out that year. Bridges, I was like, they should get this dude. He's nice, man. That's the one I wanted. Was him. But they still have a lot of things they got to get together, because I don't think their basketball IQ is super duper high yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Cleveland's basketball IQ is much higher, you know what I mean? Which is why they play so well. But I think the Charlotte, they're just young and still just playing, just playing. This is out there playing, man, letting them chips fall where as they may and things like that. And we don't know what Gordon Hayward's going to do from game to game. He might give you 40. He might give you 2. Like, you don't know what you're going to get from him. So I think they're still figuring out the kind of team they want to build around LaMelo, with LaMelo and Bridges, I should say. So, yeah, those teams, Matt, yeah, Atlanta is the one I'd bet on coming out of that play-in.
All right, so to wrap things up, where we are now, a few days away from the Bulls resuming from All-Star break, 38 and 21, tied atop the East, 23 games to go. If the Bulls are a second-round exit team, which I think maybe the majority of people see as a most likely outcome for this squad this season, do you consider that a failure? Do you consider that a achievement and a step in the right direction.
It is a huge achievement and a colossal step in the right direction for the Chicago Bulls team. Do you not remember, Bulls fans? Do you not remember the 4 years? Do you not know why I own this? Do you know why this is in my possession? Because of the what?
Speaking of which, you know who was on USA Basketball's Twitter feed earlier today?
No, I don't know that, Matt. And you don't either anymore. You don't either anymore. There's a reason I have this device. It's because of the trash we had to endure these past 4 years, y'all. So any step to the playoffs and winning a playoff series is a colossal step in the right direction. Look at the step they made from last year into this year. You know what I'm saying? This big step by the players that you've seen. The guys like Kobe White, who a lot of people thought couldn't do anything but shoot and come off the bench, has proven a lot of people wrong. Io, who people thought should go to the G League, has proven a lot of people wrong. DeMar DeRozan, who people said was the worst free agent signing of the offseason, proven a lot of people wrong. Zach LaVine, who a lot of people thought wasn't a max player, proven a lot of people wrong, man. It's a lot of proving wrongs going on this team. And then still some awesome unknowns. Still there's awesome unknown in Patrick Williams. Still there's awesome unknown in Tristan Thompson, who we just got. Those things they still got to figure out where those guys fit, and they could blossom into something really special for the Chicago Bulls, which I really believe Tristan and Patrick Williams will do for this team. And then you got your for sure people like Caruso. You know what you're getting from Alex Caruso night after night. You don't have to worry about it. Javonte Green, you know what you're getting from Javonte Green. Think of how deep this bench will be when everybody gets back, y'all. This will be a deep basketball team when this team gets back. And that's why you shouldn't just be going ahead putting your money saying they wouldn't get to an Eastern Conference Finals. So if they get out of there in the second round, you damn right that is a freaking wonderful step forward for the Chicago Bulls team.
If the Bulls get to the conference finals, I'm doing cartwheels down Madison Avenue. Are you kidding me?
Be able to contain us. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals, man.
At the same time, if this is a one and done round, first round playoff exit team, I think it's fair to be disappointed in that. I think I would at this point, at the beginning of that's the biggest shift for me. Beginning of season, I would have told you if the Bulls make it out of the play-in or avoid the play-in altogether and put up a good fight but lose their first round playoff series, solid step in the right direction.
Right.
Now it is if they don't make it out of the first round, because of expectations changing, because of the way they've played so well and adapted so quickly with a new roster, that's a disappointment. But I do not think can say second round exit would be a disappointment / failure for this team.
No, not at all, man. Like it's not like you said. I think you said it so well, Matt. The expectations just completely changed for even though that we had them 6 and now we have them higher. The expectations changed that now we expect them to be a second round team. Before I expected them to get to the playoffs. I was happy with that. I promise you. After what we seen, nah, bro. I'm gonna need that second round, dog. Expectations have changed for the better for this basketball team, and it feels like, Matt, that they're ready for it.
Yeah. Everybody buckle up because these last 23 games are going to be a roller coaster of wild games, of heavy competition, of like bruising battles against top Eastern Conference teams. And I don't know if I'm ready for it. I hope y'all are.
We're not. But let's take the ride anyway.
Let's freaking go. All right, that's it for today. We're going to get to some voicemails tomorrow or day after as we still wait out the Bulls' return to action on Thursday night against the Hawks. Let us know in the comments what you guys are thinking about the Bulls' shift in expectations, about what they could finish schedule and record-wise through these final 23. Hit us up on Twitter, Bulls_Peck, at BAWL Sports, at Locked On Bulls, and that text to voicemail line. Drop us something, 331-979-1369. For Big Dave, I am Matt saying, see red, be good. Peace.
Yeah.